Hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. Great to be with you on Inspirations for Your Life. Our master topic for the week is respecting sacred spaces, honoring what matters. That's our topic for the week. And today's granular topic is compassion and justice matter because they really do matter. All right, so let's go ahead and kick this off. But before we do, I want to welcome everyone to today. Today is Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. You can check out more of my amazing, inspiring creations at believemeachieve.com. If you haven't gotten a drink, maybe you want to get yourself some water, maybe something to eat, something sweet, something tart, something healthy, or something not. It's completely up to you. Again, I'm your host, John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur, and this is the Inspirations for Your Life daily podcast show. So, what I want to say to you guys, not only am I a podcast host, but I'm also a podcast coach, justice and compassion. Two guiding forces, ladies and gentlemen, that often seem to pull us in different directions. In a world that demands fairness, but also calls for what I'd like to say as kindness. Yes, so let me say that again, justice and compassion, two guiding forces that often seem to pull us in different directions. In a world that demands fairness, but also calls for kindness, how do we ensure both are upheld? Is it possible to administer justice without losing our humanity? In this episode, I'm going to dive deep into the delicate balance between compassion and justice, exploring how these two values can work together rather than against each other. From leadership to policymaking and everyday interactions, the fusion of fairness and empathy has power to transform communities. Of course, resolve conflicts and inspire lasting, yes, change. So you can join me every single day. You can even go to believemeachieve.com if you missed part of the show or you like to catch a recap. We're going to uncover some of the amazing compassion-driven justice things that can create a more balanced, humane, and just society. Number one, ladies and gentlemen, the balance between compassion and justice in decision making. Every decision we make, whether it's personal, whether it's professional or societal, hinges on a balance between, and I should say a delicate balance between fairness and kindness. You see, justice ensures accountability, while compassion allows for understanding. Remember, we've said this before that justice happens and we try to be just, but it doesn't always happen that way. Compassion allows for understanding. When we lean too far toward a rigid framework, what happens, ladies and gentlemen, is we risk being cold and detached, treating people as numbers rather than individuals. On the other hand, if we let compassion overrule justice, we may end up excusing harmful behaviors or failing to enforce necessary consequences. The key, ladies and gentlemen, is to evaluate each situation with both perspectives in mind, recognizing when to uphold rules strictly and when to extend understanding. True wisdom lies in knowing when to firm things up and when to be forgiving, ensuring that both individuals and society will benefit in the long run. I think that is the big concern. Number two, ladies and gentlemen, how empathy strengthens fairness in society. So, fairness should not be a mechanical application of rules, but oftentimes it is. It should consider the human experience in a very delicate balance. Empathy allows us to step into another person's shoes, as we've said before, and see the bigger picture. Compassion allows us to take an action or inspire that person to take an action. And so, when we see the bigger picture, it helps us administer justice that is both firm and fair, whether in the courtroom, workplace, or community. When decisions are made without empathy, they often fail to address the root causes of the problem. A legal system that operates without consideration for personal circumstances can be overly punitive, while a workplace that ignores employee struggles may create resentment and, of course, disengagement. By integrating empathy into decision making, we foster a sense of belonging and trust, ensuring that fairness serves people rather than punishing them unfairly. And I think that becomes a little bit of a catch-22 for people in the world. Number 3, ladies and gentlemen, the role of kindness in creating just policies. So, policies should do more than enforce rules. They should uplift and protect. For those of you noticing, if I happen to be pausing to the right a little bit, turning, there's a reason I'm doing that. It's because TikTok's been having some challenges, and we're actually streaming to TikTok here at the same time. And we had to set up another camera on the side to do that because TikTok's having some challenges. Hopefully, they'll have that fixed within the next 30 days or so. So, the role of kindness in creating just policies. Policies should do more than enforce rules. They should uplift and protect. Kindness in policymaking does not mean weakness. Rather, it ensures that laws and regulations serve people in meaningful ways. For example, criminal justice reform rooted in compassion recognizes that rehabilitation is often more effective than harsh punishment alone. Similarly, workplace policies that prioritize mental health and work life balance lead to greater employee satisfaction and, of course, better productivity. When policymakers consider the human impact of their decisions, they create structures that promote not just order, but well being. True justice is not just about keeping people in line. It's about creating a system that empowers and uplifts communities. And I think a lot of people miss that. It becomes more of this political control or this ego war. And that's not what it's supposed to be. Number 4, ladies and gentlemen, addressing injustice with understanding and action. You see, ladies and gentlemen, injustice often stems from a lack of understanding, whether it to be social, racial, economical, legal, or even discriminating about somebody's orientation. A compassionate approach to addressing these issues involves not just acknowledging them, but taking actionable steps to create change. Understanding why injustices occur and allowing us to implement effective solutions rather than temporary fixes. So we have empathy, which is where we're actually feeling what the person's feeling. We're stepping into their shoes. But compassion, we're going a little bit further, deeper. We're willing to take a step to help them. It could be coaching them. It could be anything. It could be going out to lunch with them. It could be being a good listener. And also, it might involve getting them to take a step. So, this is a very, very important thing to understand. Understanding why injustice occurs allows us to implement effective solutions rather than, as I said, temporary fixes. Whether it's lacking systematic discrimination, improving access to education, or for forming unfair policies, a balance of justice and compassion ensures we are not just punishing wrongs, but also preventing them in the future. I think a lot of times when kids are younger, they get punished, but they get punished. They have what we call negative reinforcement. You get punished for doing something wrong, but you should get rewarded for doing something right. Negative reinforcement, is not good for anybody. Positive reinforcement is great. For example, I did well on a test and my parents still wanted to reward me, which I thought was nice even at my age. They asked me what I wanted, and I actually wanted this gimbal, and I'm going to be talking about that later on another program. But I think it's important to understand that positive reinforcement will go a lot further than negative reinforcement. All right. That's just important. And so just understanding this so that we can prevent them in the future is one thing, but having people feel a certain way, knowing that they can do something and feel that great feeling, that's much more powerful. So justice without action is meaningless, and action without understanding is misguided. A thoughtful, compassionate approach ensures both are effective. Number 5, the impact of compassionate leadership in law and governance. So, leadership that integrates both justice and compassion fosters trust and long term success. A leader who rules with an iron fist may maintain order, but they will struggle to inspire loyalty and respect. Conversely, a leader who is overly lenient may create instability and inefficiencies. The most effective leaders understand that true authority comes from guiding people with fairness while also showing care. In law and governance, this means implementing policies that hold people accountable while providing opportunities for growth and redemption. In the workplace, it means recognizing employees' needs while maintaining clear expectations. When leaders embody both strength and empathy, they cultivate communities that thrive under both the structure and the support. See, I think that's a very important thing, ladies and gentlemen. So, number six, why fairness should never come at the cost of humanity. So, blind adherence to rules without considering human circumstances can lead to unnecessary suffering. While fairness is essential, it should never strip people of their dignity or ignore their unique challenges. Consider cases where individuals are punished harshly for minor infractions due to rigid policies. Does that truly severe problem be a good issue? Does it serve justice? I mean, we could be talking about social media platforms like TikTok, like Instagram, like Facebook. Somebody does one thing wrong and you're in TikTok jail or you're in Facebook jail. And we joke about it, but a lot of these entities, and I'm not naming anyone out specifically, but I am naming several of them, even Google, they a lot of times will, give you a slap on the wrist or give you a warning that they claim doesn't count, but they'll still put you in some type of a jail, which is not really fair because there was a confusion from the beginning to what you should be doing. It's a very gray area. So while fairness is essential, it should never strip people, as I said, of their dignity or ignore their unique challenges. Consider cases where individuals, like I said, are punished harshly for minor infractions due to rigid policies. And that doesn't serve justice. It could be something like, filming something wrong. And I'm not talking about something that would be blatantly obvious, but something that might be a little gray area on social media. No, they actually just suspend your broadcast. A system that actually values justice must also recognize the level of humanity, whether in legal proceedings, business ethics, or personal relationships. Fairness should be a guide, not a rigid and flexible force. True justice takes into account the nuances of each situation, ensuring that fairness serves as a means to uplift rather than merely to punish. Sometimes people, I think, punish just because they have this ego or they have this iron fist and they just want to exercise it, which is really a bad use of power. So, the power of listening in resolving conflicts with justice is key. One of the most overlooked aspects of justice is the ability to listen. Many conflicts escalate because people feel unheard and invalidated. Uh, Sometimes it's a miscommunication. I knew somebody one time that took one of my best friends to court to have them trudge for almost a year. It's like 11 months, all because of a misunderstanding because one person was just too high and mighty and wouldn't go to the other person and say, hey, I'm sorry. Or, hey, what did you mean by that? No, they decided to take them to court, which made a big mockery of not only them, but it caused my friend quite a bit of challenges. And so this stuff happens every day, ladies and gentlemen. So we want to make sure that we don't miscommunicate. If we don't understand something, say, hey, just so I understand you better, would you restate that? So, as I said, many conflicts escalate because people feel unheard and invalidated. It can result in things like a simple fine from the court, or maybe even something as harsh as a restraining order, all because of somebody feeling a little too huffy and puffy. This has happened with people of similar age, people that are younger than the person, and people that are older. So it's not related to an age. I think it's related to a culture. And so this is one of the most overlooked aspects of justice. It's the ability to listen. And so by truly listening to others, whether in the legal disputes, workplace disagreements, or personal arguments, we open the door for resolution rather than retaliation. And retaliation can lean into things like court hearings, all kinds of things that are just wasting people's time. Listening is not about agreeing with everything, but about acknowledging perspectives and finding common ground. I often say we can agree to disagree. You don't have to agree with me, but you just have to agree that you understand where I'm coming from, but you may not agree with my point. So listening is not about agreeing again with everything, but about acknowledging the perspectives and finding common grounds. This approach helps prevent unnecessary conflict, encourages cooperation, and fosters environments where justice is a collaborative effort rather than a battleground. I think some people they wanna fight. They want to, and I don't just mean physically fight. I mean they just want to get the upper hand. It could be something like, I'm better than this. So they want to prove it to you. Could be a simple thumb match, a wrestling match, or it could be a bet. It's like this sick game they play. And when they win, they're like all over you. But sometimes when that gets out of hand, it can get into a legal proceeding. People can lie and go to court, make up stories that you said this, you did this. You didn't do anything of the kind, just because they're trying to defend their weak ego and self esteem. So, again, it's not about agreeing with everything, but about acknowledging perspectives and finding common ground. And so now that we understand this, compassionate listening ensures that people feel valued, leading to solutions that are both fair and effective. So, the difference between, let's say, empathetic, okay? Empathetic means I'm listening and I understand where you're coming from, right? And I could put myself in your shoes. Compassionate listening means not only am I listening and feeling it, but I'm like listening with an intent to try to make a change by either taking an action at the end or helping you take an action. So I think that's important. Number 8, ladies and gentlemen, standing up for what is right while showing grace. Oh, I love this one, guys. I really do love this one. And I should tell you that whole caper that happened with a good friend of mine, it went back and forth, back and forth. I think it started like in January, and it all started because one person was parking too close to the other. And they thought that the person was, let's say, edging up on him too much. It actually wasn't them that thought it. It was actually his girlfriend that thought that person was just edging up, but that wasn't even their intent. They were just trying to be friends. So things can get out of hand. And so, what I want to share with you is standing up for what is right while showing grace. That's not an easy thing, ladies and gentlemen. So, advocating for justice does not mean abandoning kindness. In fact, the most effective movements for social change have been those that combine strength with grace. How about Martin Luther King, Junior Mahatma Gandhi, and other great leaders showed that standing up for what is right does not require aggression, but rather unwavering conviction paired with empathy. Whether in activism, leadership, or everyday interactions, it is possible to challenge injustice without dehumanizing others. The most powerful form of justice is one that holds people accountable while also allowing space for growth and reconciliation. So, if you want to, let's say, right the wrongdoings that you might have done or have a combination of that, you have to realize that you're both at fault. It's not one person. If you're leading into it, if you're saying, hey, if you're not asking, like, saying, gee, I don't understand what you're saying, I don't get it. When there's a miscommunication, we have to go back and get another communication on that. When a computer makes a miscommunication from one system to another, has to go back and say, hey, I didn't get that proper packet. There was supposed to be 32 packets and I only got 26. I need you to resend them all, right? But that doesn't happen in everyday life. It becomes more about who's huffy, who's puffy, who's more manly, who's more this, who's more that. And it becomes this terrible game of back and forth, cat and mouse. Maybe some people think it's fun. Maybe some people think, because they got to be the top dog, that they have to teach you like crap. And I think that's a really bad thing. This person that my friend knew and was a good friend of would even knock him down every morning when they would, let's say, pass in the hallways. I mean, it was just rude. Number 9, how small acts of compassion contribute to greater justice. So justice is not only upholding in courtrooms or through laws. It begins with small choices we make every day. Small acts of kindness, like standing up for someone being mistreated, helping a struggling neighbor, or showing patience in a difficult situation, contribute to a more just society. And these seemingly minor actions create ripples that inspire larger cultural shifts. When people practice everyday compassion, they reinforce the idea that fairness is not just about enforcing rules, but it's about fostering a community where everyone is valued and treated with dignity. Yes, dignity, respect, the able to be who you are, what you are, regardless of what anyone says. Number 10, everyone. Number 10 is building a world where both accountability and kindness thrive. The best societies are built on a foundation of both justice and compassion. A world that focuses solely on punishment without rehabilitation creates fear and resentment, while a world that only prioritizes kindness without accountability breeds chaos. I often say to people when I meet them and I'm kind to them and I feel like they're starting to abuse me, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Let me say that again. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. So, what does this mean? It means a lot. Um, It means that while someone may be kind and considerate, they should not be taken advantage of or seen as someone who can be easily pushed around. It's a warning that the person is strong and capable, even though they are showing kindness. It reflects the idea that being nice doesn't mean being defenseless or powerless. And I think that's a very, very important step that we can all agree on. Number 10, building a world where both accountability and, as I said, kindness thrive. So let's get into this. The best societies, as I said, are built on foundation of both justice and compassion. Okay. The ideal balance ensures that people are held responsible for their actions, while also given opportunities to learn and grow from those challenges or mistakes. Justice should empower, not just penalize. If we can embrace both accountability and kindness, we can create communities where fairness is not just enforced, it is lived and shared. Like these social media platforms, like TikTok, like Instagram, like Google, like Facebook. Instead of punishing people for doing something wrong, how about rewarding people for doing something right? I mean, a lot of these infractions that people make, they're not earth shattering. They're not anything major, right? There's just a difference of opinion in what they think is okay and what you think is okay. But that shouldn't suspend the account, right? I think that's the whole issue. And, it's hard to understand what's going on sometimes. So these big platforms feel they just want to get control over you. That's what it's about. So um, I think it's important to understand where everyone's coming from. And so maybe you're a little bit lost. Maybe you don't understand like why something is a certain way. And I get it. I really do get it. But I think there's a right way and a wrong way. And if you're not doing anything criminal, there's no reason to ban your account. Okay. Absolutely no reason to ban your account. And I mean this, guys. I think a lot of these people do this just because they can. Just because they can. That's the truth. Many of these places don't even have the ability to, or they don't even want to communicate with you through anything except email. I think that's really very cowardish. So, in this episode, I explored a delicate balance between justice and compassion, two forces that seem at odds but can work together to create a very nice harmony and positive changes. By examining decision making, empathy, leadership, and policies, we discover how fairness and kindness can coexist to resolve conflicts, foster community, and uplift individuals. Compassion driven justice not only addresses immediate issues, but also ensures long term growth, creating systems that empower rather than punish. The fusion of empathy with accountability transforms both individuals and society, guiding us toward a more balanced and, of course, a more humane world. The discussion that we had today highlights the importance of integrating empathy into fairness. That decisions, whether in leadership, law, or everyday interactions, consider both human circumstances and the need for accountability. True justice goes beyond enforcing rules. It involves understanding and addressing the root causes of issues, making room for growth and reconciliation. And whether through small acts of kindness or larger systematic changes, compassion actions can spark a cultural shift that promotes a more just society. And in this episode, I encourage listeners to reflect on how both justice and compassion can thrive in tandem, building a world where accountability and kindness coexist harmoniously, not because they have to, but because people want them to. We all know that when we do things because we want them, they're a lot better. So, an example of a compassionate act versus an empathetic act, so that you guys get some idea on this. I think it's important. A compassion act involves taking action to help someone who is suffering or in need. For example, if a friend is going through a tough time and you offer to help them by bringing over dinner or offering to run errands for them, you're showing compassion. You're acting, providing support to ease their burden and alleviate this discomfort they have. Okay. An empathetic act, on the other hand, involves understanding and sharing the feelings of another person without necessarily taking action to alleviate the suffering. For example, if the same friend is struggling, you might sit with them, listen to their concerns, and express understanding by saying, I can't imagine how hard this must be for you. I'm here for you. You're not necessarily fixing the problem, but you're deeply connecting with their emotions and showing that you understand their experience, but you're also not volunteering to go jump in and help them immediately. So I hope this understanding makes this easier for you. You'll get empathy from a lot of people, even some strangers, but you won't get compassion. Ladies and gentlemen, I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Do check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. Take care, everyone.